Yo. Going live here in about the end of this song, which is so about 2 minutes. Hello in the chat, Jordan Joan P.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show starring a binary trans woman born in the body of a non-binary atheist, trade unionist, equality advocate, and Anahuaco syndicalist that self-identifies as an unhinged fear pimp, outraged brigade commander, free speech police officer, SJW, and a bad faith agent
SJW.
of chaos.
Oh my God. An SJW. That's such a 2016 term, I guess. No, now you just call yourself communist. I don't even know what the fuck to think anymore. By the way, let's just get this out of the way early. I know that on this, wait, or is it that? Yes, it's that. I know I spelled labor wrong because I'm talking about the Labor Party, but I didn't save the file that I was working on, and I didn't want to fix it, so I just said, fuck it. You guys know what I mean. I'm an asshole. Anyways, welcome to the Tea Party. Welcome, David. Welcome, Jordan, in the chat. Tonight's going to be kind of weird night. It's I don't know how long this is going to go. It might be a short show. It might be a long show. Because it's got a lot of labor in it. Yeah. Because I'm having an existential crisis of sorts. Because I don't know if in the next election if I'll vote at all. Thank you, nerd teacher. Damn you. It's all your fault. But that being said, welcome to the Tea Party. If you want to help us out, you can go to teapartypodcast.com and join all my socials and check out all the links. You can help me by joining my Patreon like David and Jonathan have. And you help make this show possible along with my job. Anyways, I do thank you so much, David and Jonathan. You do help me and other people as well, because it allows me to support other people as well. I want to just like do the it'd be this one. I'm playing my little keyboard back there. You see that? Anyways, what's been on my mind a lot, because I've been watching a lot of Novaro Media, which is kind of like, if you think of, it'd be like The Intercept, sort of. David, you definitely get a feeling of superiority because you are my top patron. But anyhow, it didn't sound nice, did it? It's not how I meant it. All right. So what kind of led me to thinking about this? Nerd teacher and I are working on we're starting to. We're going to work through. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do it all. I wish I could do a King of the Hill impression, David. I can't help you there. Bobby! That doesn't, no. Yeah. Nerd teacher is like a ghost, I call it. It's like Beetlejuice. Only it's nerd teacher. But we've been talking a lot between us. By the way, nerd teacher, I did see that documentary. I'm starting to watch it that you sent me about Chile, and I totally understand it. And I know that history of the Chicago boys. That sounds so like cool, right? Let's look. Chicago boys economics. Let's see. I knew it. They were going to look like a bunch of nerds. Oh. Because they're economists. It's like it's not. They're not. It's Chicago boys sounds like some kind of gangsters, but no, not really. But I've been thinking a lot about. Yes, they are dweebs. Yes, they helped Pinochet be a bloodthirsty asshole. So yeah, jackass. So yeah, but I wanted to play something. This is from. Oh, I just noticed I haven't switched over. And I shouldn't have said anything. Then you guys would think I was super professional, but I'm really not. Oh, Lord, no. I think you know that I'm not. So this was from a thing called The World Transformed. And it was basically Aaron Bastani from Navarro Media and someone else. So this guy gets up and he talks about how you should still stay in the Labor Party and vote.
Guy referred to one of the NCG members remaining suspended, and that's me. So I've been suspended for 10 months. So I guess it's more of a statement than a question, which is an annoying thing to do. But we were elected last year on the Momentum NCG on a kind of ticket of we will reorientate the direction of Momentum, so that rather than focusing entirely on internal struggles and Labour Party battles, we're going to have one foot in the party and one foot outside of the party, and we're going to orientate ourselves towards social movements and trade unionism. So that's what we've been trying to build. This weekend, we've had sessions on the Momentum Trade Union Network. We're asking all of our members to identify which trade unions they belong to and start organizing collectively together. We've been working in collaboration with tenants unions on an eviction.
Nerd Teacher says, wait, did I miss that? Bit the dude was suspended and is still trying to stay. Basically, what he's doing is he's doing organizing within the unions, trade unions, for labor, even though he's been kicked out of labor.
Resistance campaign. We're building
because you can still organize for labor even if you've been kicked out.
An eco-socialist coalition who's trying to build towards COP26. So what I'm here to say basically is, if you are not a member of Momentum now, it's time to join, because this is the only way we're going to get any kind of transformation.
First off, how are you going to get any kind of transformation? Let's have a look. Shall we? Let's go down a little rabbit hole. Let's go. United Kingdom general election. Okay. All right. Actually, let's do one better. Let's go United Kingdom general election 1997, because you need to understand something. So all right, first off, I'm gonna say labor, and Aaron Bastani actually said this on one of his shows. Labor hasn't had a socialist since the 1950s, and they haven't had a social democrat as head of the party since the person that was the head of the party in 62, he was elected in 62, so 5 years before I was born. From that point on, there hasn't been a social democrat. There's been Tony Blair, who's a neoliberal. Americans think on the level of Bill Clinton, because that's who he is. Right? So, I want you to look at this, though. 1997 general election. You have Tony Blair, John Major, and Paddy Ashdown, who's Liberal Democrat. This is in Scotland, right? So, what's the result? Labor, this general election, right? 273. Right? Conservative? Right? So, if you look at this, the 97, and it says in here that that John Major was defeated in a landslide by Tony Blair. All right? But this is literally just let me see if I can find it. Yes. I'm trying to find. Yeah. I'm trying to, damn it. Come on. So if you look here, Labor got 56 votes, right? The Lib Dems got 10, SNP got 6. So that is in Scotland, right? So let's go back up here. Let's go to 2001. Again, Tony Blair. If you look at how the numbers come out, I believe it's down here. You'll see, again, Scotland, 56 votes. 1 for Conservative and 10 for Lib Dems. 5 for SNP, right? So you're with me so far. We go to 2005. Here we go. This is in, just remember, I'm just looking at Scotland. So we're going way down here. I think. Come on. It's not showing it on this one. Oh, here it is. No, that's not Scotland. Oh, yes, it is. No, it's not. That's not. That's the general. It doesn't say, but it's close to the same. So we go to 2010, right? We go to 2010. Labor's lost some seats. But again, you're talking about Labor in I know why it's not showing in Scotland. Let's try that. Sorry, guys. UK election in Scotland. Scotland 1997. I was wondering why. I was like, fuck. Yeah, here we go. So if you look, Labor in 97 got 56 seats. Labor in 2001 got 56 seats. Labor in 2005 got 41 seats. They lost some. Conservatives still got their ass handed to them. 2010, if you don't remember, it's Gordon Brown and Nick Clegg. Gordon Brown is one of the people that and Alex Hammond and David Cameron. If you remember, Gordon Brown actually won. But if we go down here, 41 seats for Labor, right? So there are 59 seats and 40 of them went to Labor. All right, 2015. Now you have to understand 2015 was a different election. SNP 56 votes. Labor lost 40 seats. Right? Right. 2017. 35. 13 for Conservatives and 7 for Labor. Do you see where I'm going here? I don't know if you do. But S&P 48, Labor 1 vote. In the last election, they got 1 vote. They want to have these discussions about being in power and talk about, I mean, even some people will sit there and talk about the good old days in Blair. How are you going to win without Scotland? How are you going to win without those 56 votes? People are talking about the red wall and all this bullshit. How are you going to win without Scotland? They don't ever, if I could pay Aaron Bastani £100 to answer one question, it would be that. Anyways, let's get back to this. So this guy's talking about power. You only have power if you're elected. If you're in the seat of power. If you're the opposition, you have very little power.
I understand that people are upset. I understand that people want to leave. I understand people are saying they're going to quit Unison because of what happened yesterday. That's a disastrous thing to do. You've got to stay in Unison now to support the left wing NEC that they've got, and you've got to be there so you can vote in favour of the left wing slate for the Labour link.
Again, I ask the same question every time. Why? Why? Because Jeremy Corbyn wasn't some like communist. He's a social democrat. The things that he was on offer weren't that radical. you know?
So the point is...
So what's the point in doing any of this?
You've got to stay in these institutions. Momentum is the largest collection, the largest organization of self-identified socialists in this country.
Okay, here's the thing. You're the largest group of socialists in this country. What have you done to get Labor elected and in the seat of power? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You failed because here's the thing. I was having a discussion with Nerd Teacher, and they were talking about we were having a discussion about power, and I feel like entrenched power doesn't let go. Entrenched power stays entrenched. Some random geek. Had a little sleep in. That's all right.
This is the place that we can be together, that we can organize together at events like this. So however depressing and miserable it is to be in the Labour Party, and however many defeats we are suffering at the moment, the only way anything will change is if we organise collectively together in institutions like Momentum. So
what change? What's going to happen? Best case scenario. Jeremy Corbyn was the best case scenario for socialists in this country.
It's time to join if you are not a member. I'll leave it there.
Again, I'll ask why. And there's a guy that comes up. He's going to put it plainly.
Hi. Can you hear me? Oh, hello.
I love this guy, by the way.
Hello? All right,
Yes,
sorry.
working.
Yes, Roy Wemborne, I'm a member of West Ham Labour Party, which has been suspended, and I'm a member of the Communication Workers Union. We've discussed some things coming down today in relation to the difference between the right wing and the left wing, and it seems very clear that the right wing are much more organised much more got it together than the left have at all. In fact, the left has been completely split and in disarray over the last year, in my opinion. And I think that's because we have lost our way. The left has lost its way in its terms of understanding the policy, what socialism is. The decline of social democracy and the failure of the Soviet Union has caused a massive vacuum within the left. And what does it mean to say the world transformed? Or what does it mean to say that we are transformative socialists? Because we now have to, on our own, not just be following Jeremy Corbyn's policies, which weren't really transformative. In fact, they would not have taken us anywhere near back into the 1970s, and the nationalisation that existed then, energy, car plants, all across that, wouldn't have taken us there. So that wasn't a transformative policy, and it was very worrying, in fact, what might happen if Jeremy Corbyn did get elected. And so we have to return, in my opinion, to understanding what socialism is. And it's really can only be, in my opinion, that the public sector dominates the private sector. How can you have socialism in a sea of capitalism? It's impossible.
He's dead on, man. The socialists that they want to fucking claim to be at things like this, it's barely socialism. It's social democracy at best.
And so we have to return to what we mean by socialism, what we mean by democratic socialism, and how that can be achieved. And I'm not putting forward a blueprint for that, but I think that's the key issue that we discussed, not Keir Starmer out, but question mark in. What is the question mark? What is socialism? And it's not, and I think all these discussions around the tactics and the fight and stay in, I'm absolutely 100% behind all that. We must continue those things, but we can't just be an organising group that hasn't got an aim and an objective to create socialism, and that can be achieved. And we have to therefore, in that case, define, in my opinion, what democratic socialism is. And it's got to be democratic, not the top-down nationalisation that we experienced previously.
Here's the thing, and that's these arguments always come down to hierarchies. And I need to go look for it. I just haven't had the time. But Noam Chomsky talked about being a narco-syndicalist, but he thinking that there did need to be some forms of hierarchy, but they had to kind of have a reason to exist, and they have to kind of make that point. You know, if you're going to have a hierarchy, if you're going to have one, why? But again, this is what this guy's talking about. The problems are with this top-down structure.
And it's got to be a dominant force in the economy, not nationalising the few utilities. That's not good enough. The private sector will kill us. And we have to have that debate about how we become the majority force in the public sector and under a democratic program. That's the question I think we should be asking ourselves. I don't want to talk about it any further now. Made my point. Let's get on with it.
Nerd teacher said, but if you're seeking leadership, power, and control, obviously you're going to be trash. I feel like half my comments aren't showing up. Ha 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 ha. They are. I'm just letting this roll. The thing is, I think, again, if you're seeking leadership, I think in any kind of because I do think that if you have a form of government, you're going to have a certain kind of hierarchy. I mean, that's one thing when anarchists talk about government, that's probably the biggest weakness I think there is, because there are going to be hierarchies that you do need, but I don't even see it as a hierarchy. I see them as like a job role. I see, to be honest with you, I think there needs to be people that are in the role of controlling the economy and control, but those people should have to justify their existence, and there should be controls to that are in the hands of the people. Anyways.
Was there not another hand next to him at the back?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay, well,
Should we just go with those?
I'm nobody.
Talking about, strategies for voting. Now, protest votes don't build power, but
This is now this person. I don't know. I need to go look at her name. Let's see, because I don't want to be a dick. Boom, bum, bum. Oh God. It's a okay. There was Alex Nuns is this guy. He was a former speechwriter for Jeremy Corbyn. Momentum chair Gaia Shrisk Nathan Shriskin Shriskin it looks like Nathan Kathan Shrisk Kathan. Yes, it's Gaia Shrisk Kathan. She's that. This is like standard gobbledygook.
power, but organizing in the party does. And also to address a comment that the man in the back just said about the party being like an abusive relationship.
That's exactly what this is. Literally. And we'll show you here in a minute. There are people that have been kicked out of Labor. Just had their conference. So they have this. I believe they have it every year. But it's kind of like the Democratic National Convention that happens every 4 years. But they basically decide on a platform that they're gonna support. And this year's was a disaster. Basically, Keir Starmer tried to get the parliament to have more of a say than the members. And he lost the first vote. The second vote, it's a watered down version, but it still restricts democracy, basically.
We're looking at this in completely the wrong way. We are not in a relationship with the party. The party is a site of power. I think.
And that's wrong. The party isn't the site of power. You only have power if you get elected. What power in the minority do you have? Like, these groups, they have not ever been in power. They have never been in government in the sense of making changes that actually affect people's lives. They aren't affecting the material conditions of people in Britain, and they haven't.
One of the most instructive books that I've read this year was the Jakarta Method. And I really encourage all of you to read it, because it shows the trajectory of struggle against imperialism and capitalism for the last 30, 40 years. And it sort of gives you a sense of the forces that we are fighting against. This is a walk in the park. I know it's been really difficult for people in this country, but we haven't been rounded up in stadiums and shot yet. So
That's your bar. That's your bar.
for us to let go of power because we're having a bad day is difficult for me to process.
We're having a bad day. You haven't won power ever. Momentum didn't exist back in the 50s, did it? You haven't done anything to be in power.
When I've been working with indigenous movements where they're dying every week fighting for their rights. So
Wait. And those indigenous people that are dying, that are fighting for their rights, what one thing have you done for them at all in the seat of power? Nothing. You've done absolutely nothing. And you are exactly what David says. You're a spin doctor. There's nothing that they've done.
I think with much love and affection, we need to get real about what we're doing here right now, because we live in the belly of the beast. The UK is a site of power and capital.
Here's the thing. You're talking about labor as this being that is the in the belly of the beast. How are you going to win without the SNP? How? You lost 50 votes. How are you going to win without Scotland?
And we have the privilege to be able to exert power over it. If we're talking about the climate crisis, the choices that we make now, the choices that we make about engaging in politics.
Literally, the only power that labor has is to go up to, and for Americans, we have to look this up. Now David's gonna make fun of me, I think, but so in the UK, they basically have they call it the dispatch box, but they'll go in and they'll argue back and forth. They'll argue back and forth. And that's the only power. This is the only power that Labor has. They'll come over here and sit, and then Tories will be over here, and they'll go back and forth and argue. That's the only really power that Labor has when they are in the minority. And they've been in the minority since Tony Blair. They got close in 2017, but there were literally people within the party. We're not going there. There were people literally within the party that were basically sabotaging. I mean, there were people inside the Labor Party at the time that were upset that in 2017, Jeremy Corbyn came very close. I think it was like within 20 seats of power. But anyways, is that it on the Novara one? I don't know.
And in the movement will impact people on the other side of the world that don't have as much power as we have. You
don't have power. That's the thing. That's the thing. They're talking about their own personal power. They're not talking about actual legislative power. And literally, this is just them. This person's puffing up her own platform. That's it. Because Labor doesn't have a chance in hell at actually being in power. And this is what happened. This is actually what happened at conference.
Okay, so I'm here with Jonathan Leeds. He's the delegate for Leeds Central CLP and also the youth officer for Leeds Central CLP. And he's been actually dragged out of conference today. So Johnny's going to tell us a bit about what happened and why.
So I was just wearing this T-shirt. I got picked up by a security guard who saw Starmer out, and he pulled me aside. Before I knew what was going on, I was surrounded by security guards and escorted out of the building, basically. They confiscated my pass. They wouldn't listen to anything I had to say. You know, how would I have a pass if I wasn't democratically elected? They're getting rid of the only young, active forces in the CLP. And what's worse is that my co-delegate has some disability issues, and she needed support. She didn't want to go to the conference alone, and despite that, she's now up there. I've been pulled out. Not sure if she's okay and stuff. And all it was having a T-shirt, being a socialist. Being a member of Socialist Appeal. A group that has always been part of the Labour Party, always campaigned for Labour politicians, and just tried to fight for the left of the party, and that's not allowed under Starmer's leadership now. So right from the conference floor I was picked up and taken out.
This is democracy, isn't it? Doesn't this look like democracy to you?
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much, Johnny.
So I've been denied entrance to the conference and expelled from the party due to my support for the Socialist Appeal, despite people like Peter Mandelson and Tony Blair being in the party who have voted Lib Dem in the past. Marxists and revolutionaries are being expelled, which is absolutely scandalous. We need to fight the Tories and not the Socialists, Starmer out.
So literally, they've removed people that are left wing from the party conference. Yeah, but you should stay in.
Capitalism, comrades, capitalism is killing the planet. And I want to ask as well how we fund a Green New Deal, because we can't fund a Green New Deal with a right-wing fiscal policy. We can't simply add hundreds of billions onto our already debt-laden economy. Last time I checked, GDP is growing sluggishly. Our debt bill is over 100% of GDP. Our economy is in crisis. Borrowing more money will not do. We have to make the rich pay. We have to make the rich pay to save the climate. The only answer is a socialist Green New Deal based on public ownership. The money for a socialist Green New Deal for Britain and internationally exists. It's all there. It sits in the banks, the finance houses, the accounts of the multinational corporations that have caused this crisis. And these are the same people, I might add, that some in this shadow cabinet are looking to get to bed with. And that's where the money to pay for our socialist Green New Deal is. I'd remind conference of what socialism is. It wasn't long ago that CLPs voted 62% in favor of restoring Clause 4 at conference. Now, Clause 4 explains the idea that we need the commanding heights of the economy under public ownership and under workers' control.
God forbid.
This is the only way we can save the planet, deliver a just transition, how we can rapidly reverse the destruction caused by so few and avoid the collective suffering of so many. Now, I'm an unashamed socialist and a Marxist, and I stand with the working class traditions of the Labour Party. I know I belong here, but I look at some of the Tory saboteurs in the PLP who actively worked against the socialist Labour victory in 2017 and 2019, the ones who'd rather see a Tory government than a socialist ones, who stabbed Corbyn and the working people of Britain in the back. If it wasn't for them, we could be 4 years into a socialist Green New Deal. We don't have much time. I urge conference to commit to a socialist Green New Deal, support public ownership, and let's fight for a socialist Labour Party. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Here's the only problem with that argument. The roots that you're talking about are from what, 70 years ago? Oh man. Nerd Teacher says, I disagree with him that simply moving things to the workers will fix the climate. Might help somewhat, but it's not doing anything about production. Here's the thing with that. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think one of the biggest things, if you look at it, is the United States military. They're one of the biggest carbon emitters into the atmosphere. You know, and Britain can't do jack shit about that. You know, and it's the 5th largest economy, not the 1st or the 2nd. And the 2 biggest polluters in the world are the United States and China. But yeah, I get what he's saying. The reason I put this in here, though, I think it's more important to talk about this kind of, it does. Someone mentioned at the World Transformed, like somebody said, it was like a bad relationship. It was like abusive relationship. This is like, they don't want you in the party. They don't want you. But you just won't accept it. Like, so if you're not going to be in power, you're going to lose. You're going to continue to lose. Why not consolidate your base and build a movement? And this is what we're going to talk about here in a minute. But I wanted to play one more video from conference just to give you an idea of what's going on there.
Comrades of Labour Conference, my name's Joe Attard of Ealing Central and Acton CLP. I want to speak against the NEC's rule changes to Chapter 2 on membership. Comrades, we saw an entire CLP who attempted to represent a resolution unable to do so because presumably all of their delegates have been suspended. We witnessed a General Secretary chiding conference floor and seeking to have absolute veto over who gets to join the Labour Party. The NEC's rule change seeks to give them total veto over who gets to join the Labour Party. Conference, neither the NEC nor the General Secretary have my confidence as a socialist. Because the powers they have used to repress, to silence, and to attack the left for purely factional purposes. I heard just now of a comrade of mine dragged out of conference for wearing a T-shirt. This T-shirt. Comrades, 150,000 people have died before their time thanks to this callous Tory government. You've got hour-long queues of heavy goods vehicles piling up outside of London, cut to universal credit, making the poor pay more national insurance to bail out the rich. And in all of this, the objectives and the priorities of the NEC, the leader, and the General Secretary are to attack you, not the Conservatives.
as Nerd Teacher says in the chat, oh, that sounds representative. Sounds like they love you.
Comrades
This is abusive.
of the Labour Party, we are socialists. We are part of the Labour movement.
But you aren't.
This party belongs to us, not to David Evans, not to Keir Starmer, and not to the bankers and the city that they aim to represent over you. Joseph Attard, Ealing Central and Acton, and proud supporter of Socialist Appeal, a Marxist member of the Labour Party.
And he'll be kicked out soon because anybody that's affiliated with Social Appeal is being kicked out.
Time, conference. Time. Thank you. Delegate. Delegate, can you remove yourself from the speech, from the rostrum? Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, on a slide.
So yeah, that was that. I just felt it was pretty fascinating to something else I did want to bring up. Novara Media did a thing on trans rights with an MP, and I want to play that.
When you have stats like 2 in 5 trans people have faced a hate crime, and the numbers of people who are experiencing mental health problems, are experiencing real problems accessing housing and all sorts, that should like concern us, right? As socialists who want to unite all working people, all marginalized communities to liberate ourselves. And the Labour Party should be at the forefront of fighting for all marginalized communities to present a vision of liberation, our collective liberation. And I think it's incredibly sad to see the state of where the party is now. There is a platform, like you mentioned, where if you want to spread a message that is harmful to the trans community, you can get columns, you can get radio interviews, you can get a platform and then say, oh, actually, I'm being cancelled. Like the irony.
This is Zara Sultana, and she's an MP, and she is absolutely brilliant. But listen to what she's saying. Listen to what she's saying. This is what she believes. This isn't what the party believes.
Of that is astounding. This isn't a fringe issue. This is fundamentally about human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. Like, this is not, how are we debating this in the party that is talking about eradicating everyone's oppression?
But some of the stuff, like, not to put too fine a point on it, is coming from your colleagues, people who are MPs, and they do have not only a huge platform because they're MPs, but
one of the things that I hate about the British people is, like with this, Ash Sarkar, she will not say it's Rose Duffield, the MP for Canterbury.
they also get an outsized hearing in the press. So when are we going to see transphobia being taken seriously? And would it take something like the whip being removed from people who articulate a point of view which is hostile not just to trans people, but also saying that we should roll back on protections which they've legally had enshrined in the Equalities Act?
We've seen the leadership use removing the whip in other incidents, so you know that they're willing to do it when it comes to certain things. But when it comes to reprimanding members of staff, well, you know, this is something that all party MPs are told to be very careful about talking about. I think it's really important to have faith in the party taking serious action.
But they're not. They're not, and they have no disciplinary process. Here's the thing. When it comes to Islamophobia or transphobia, there's nothing done. There's nothing said and nothing done. The only reason anti-Semitism was given front page was because they wanted to kick Jeremy Corbyn out of the party, and that's exactly what they did. But they only use this stuff to weaponize.
Our disciplinary process. Do any of us have faith in that? Why aren't MPs being at least investigated? Like, are the concerns and the grievances and the complaints being put in being investigated? I don't have faith in that system at all at the moment, especially when we see the attacks are also happening on.
How is that? She doesn't have faith in her own leader.
Left members. There were young members at party conference who asked Keir, what is he doing to reassure trans members that they are safe within the party? And the answer was not good. He completely didn't answer the question. And I think those are all things that we need to be, as MPs, holding the party to account if we're going to go to PLP meetings, as difficult as they are, but also wider than that.
That's an MP. That's a Labour MP, which is amazing. I do love her. She does speak truth to power more than her leader does. But it just goes. I saw this and it reminded me of. Do you have class solidarity? Bow, 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 bow. They do. Nerd teacher says Novaro would be so much better if Aaron would just give his funding and stay away. I don't always agree with him. But the thing is, what frustrates me more than anything is like the most obvious questions are never answered. But I definitely think this is a good point. If you're sitting there complaining about somebody getting benefits or somebody getting, it's like, dude, man, like literally there are businesses out there that are getting massive government welfare, basically. And you're not angry about that. But this kind of hit it home for me as well.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Historical materialism outlines that our society's economic organization influences our social institutions and political structures. Our analysis of this system and our socioeconomic positions is then informed and influenced by theory, our experiences, and history. So the subjugation of Black, Indigenous people of color and other marginalized persons have faced would have to form part of this analysis, because our society was organized economically off the backs of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And the way that marginalized people are treated influences our social structures. Also, I don't care whether this was something Marx explored himself, because scientific thought changes over time. And after all, he was a scientific socialist.
I also wanted to play this as well because I think it ties in as far as the whole theory aspect.
Yeah, here's the thing. Theory, schmeary. I've been radicalized by life experience and...
This is real. Like, I grew up exceptionally poor and abused. I already understood the violence inherent in the system from a very young age, and also had very radicalized family on the left. So, like, I don't need to read theory. I lived it. I did read theory to fight with mediocre white libertarian men about my lived experiences, so another crusty old white man could give them context about my lived experience. So I had to dig into history to reference a mansplain to them about my feelings on mutualism and so many other things, when they're not hard concepts. And when people that have had very privileged lives tell other people that obviously have not read as much as they have, it speaks to their privilege. It absolutely does. If you yell at someone else that they haven't read enough books because they agree with your philosophy, because of the ways that they got to the same means, it's weird and toxic, and it's something that should be examined if it's behavior that you have done. If you start a conversation and then hear that the other person doesn't have the theoretical knowledge of what you're talking about, but gives you examples on their praxis, and you tell them to go read books, it means you didn't care about what they had to say, and you're being classist because you've decided that they don't have the education to where that you feel they are worthy for the discussion, when most of the time they've probably lived, they understood the assignment.
I think that is spot on. When it comes to theory is important, but you have to understand it in the context of people's lives. And some people have that already.
So over the past couple of days of dealing with these theory bros, something stuck out to me. And it's Modern Warrior's slogan of "Hey Colonizer." Right? Because if you're paying attention, every single theory bro that's said "I agree with you," but is literally coming from a place of, hey, I can teach people who suffer the oppression more about their oppression than their lived experience. And I want y'all to hear me out on this. I am not asking y'all to choose sides. If you choose any side, it should be the side of the most vulnerable. And you should understand that liberation is not going to come through theory. It's going to come through consistent actions.
Bam, 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 bam. Right on the money. Right on the money.
So I am not interested in whatever ideological belief you have. I'm interested in how you're using it to help people outside of thinking you're educating them.
And this one too.
Eddie, we both clearly understand each other, but this wasn't what the conversation was about. It was about helping people with their material need and not attaching any form of reciprocity to it. Because that is what is in front of us. And the importance of theory is only relative to its application, and it should be laid on a foundation of who, what, when, where, and why. As a wrestler, I'm sure you understand the importance of adapting to the current moment. And that is the moment that's in front of us. And quite honestly, people don't need to know theory if we're out there showing them. They will eventually ask, hey, what gives? Why are you doing this? And then we can lead them to the way of the theory that brought us to here. You understand? That's it. That's literally it. So hope that clears everything up.
That's straight up. Straight up.
You left out the resource part. That's just as important as the time and effort, right? And here's the thing. I also try not to assume that my ideas aren't accessible to someone. But even more than that, I find that, like specifically with the most vulnerable, when I fulfill a material need without any expectation of them hearing my ideas, there's an opportunity that I get to do that more consistently. And then maybe they'll ask me what I think about some shit. And more often than not, when they do, and I start talking about like this system, they already know what I'm talking about. They just articulate it, you know? So time, effort, resources. Who, what, when, where, and why.
Yep. Right on the money. And I'll finish this topic out with his
the thing that you know what I'm fucking talking about. Just gonna fucking give me your answer, goddamn.
We got a 3-for-1 special here, comrades. This is a top 5 trifecta of rarity. We got a ginger, we got a literal suburban soccer mom, and we got a reformed Democrat. That's chef's kiss. But the question was, why do I choose communism? And I could give you that academic debate, bro. Like, you know, there's literally a book on why communism. But I'm going to just break it down simple. Communism speaks to a system of from each according to their ability to each according to their need. It has nothing to do with your production. It literally believes you have an inherent value, and that comes with the literal base survival tools of life that you should not have to do any fucking thing for them. Just receive them and try to eke out a life on this planet that's fucking burned.
and that's true. That's right on the money. Right on the money. But, you know, what about the oppressed white people? We're going to move on to that one.
As a straight white male, I am persecuted for every single thing I say.
Literally could not make it past the first sentence. What?
Did you guys hear the story about the racist neighbor who would play monkey sounds?
Oh my God. So this
sounds in the N-word when his black neighbors left their house? Well, yes, it's out of Virginia Beach and Salem Lakes in a cul-de-sac. And the neighbors are fed up with this man, and they have contacted the police. And here's what the police said. The police basically said their hands are tied. And
You know what? I would love to test this out if I was anywhere near Virginia Beach. I would find where the cops live and find the most radical motherfucker in the neighborhood. And every time this cop comes out, I would be playing something going just basically saying pig, or putting ACAB signs in my yard, something along the lines of that. And see how suddenly you can prosecute.
Did you guys hear the story about the racist neighbor who would play monkey sounds in the N-word when his black neighbors left their house? Well, yes, it's out of Virginia Beach and Salem Lakes in a cul-de-sac. And the neighbors are fed up with this man, and they have contacted the police. And here's what the police said. The police basically said their hands are tied and there's nothing that they could do about it. I mean, I would show you guys the video, but you can look it up. The voices clearly say the N-word and make monkey sounds when this black woman leaves her home. Thanks to our friends at the Young Turks, they actually looked into this, and in fact, they do have precedent to do something about this. Read.
Go figure.
So at the very least, they could have charged this man with a misdemeanor, yet they still haven't done this. Now, they were showing his house on the video, and in one of the articles, his address is there. As you can see in the Yahoo News article, it's 2001 Jessamine Court. So I did a reverse address lookup, and I found out the man's name is John Michael Eskildsen. Now, I looked up his criminal record, and there was nothing there, but I mean, is that really shocking? Because you get a special privilege when you're racist with the police. But I found this on Facebook saying that he basically lives with his mom and that he is just a bum. He lives rent-free. So this loops me right back to the Virginia Beach Police Department. Why are you guys using that precedence that I showed that the Young Turks shared to charge this man with at least a misdemeanor? Because at this point, all of the times that he's harassed his neighbors, if you guys would have went after him those many times, he would be hitting felony levels at this point. Or do you guys just protect racists because you agree with them?
Bingo. Bingo, 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 bingo. But you know.
As a straight white male, I am persecuted for every single thing I said.
Oh, another example of this outrage is this. Watch this.
University of Kent, doing a course on white privilege. Help us understand this.
The article takes a weird angle. It basically says that people are being told that if they swear freely or wear jogging bottoms, they are expressing white privilege. Now, it's the fundamental misunderstanding as to what privilege is. So, for example, I have male privilege. That means, for example, I can walk down a dark alley at night without that much fear. It's not an accusation to have privilege. It's simply a recognition of the inequalities in society. So it's one of the weird things about the story.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why wearing secondhand clothes would be a sign of white privilege. Does anyone know?
Well, I think it's also a class privilege thing. I see it more in terms of children from wealthy backgrounds are wearing sort of secondhand clothes and charity clothes because they think it looks super cool, whereas they don't understand the pressures and social issues around if you really don't have a lot of money, wearing secondhand clothes and feeling like people are judging you for it.
Exactly. Yeah, mate, I don't know, Carol. What do you think of that?
You know, I get accused of having white privilege, and it makes me very angry because
it makes me very angry for someone to tell me the truth.
You know, I'm not. I don't think I am the recipient of white privilege, and I think
this is the whole point, because Femi was making the point.
He's a recognition of inequalities in society.
Well, exactly.
I get all of that. So
it's not an accusation.
Well, it kind of is.
No, you're taking it as an accusation. It's a statement of fact.
No, it is when people are not getting jobs because of it. We know that.
See, this is a lie. This is a lie. Because. Let's do this. Shall we? White police officer discrimination. UK. Police force discriminated against a white heterosexual male. We tried putting forth my union tried putting forth what's called the Rooney Rule, and basically we can no longer put that up because an employee tribunal ruled that positive action to recruit someone with different characteristics is a discrimination is a discrimination essentially. So yeah. So what she's saying doesn't happen because it's illegal. It doesn't happen. It's bullshit. She's lying.
certain organizations. People are not getting jobs because they are white, because of their background. We know that is happening.
No.
That's bullshit. The NHS, there are 48% of the people that work in the NHS are black. Yet only 27% are in supervisory positions. Why is that? What she's saying is a lie.
Mathematically, and this is done in all the surveys that the Oxford University did it, sent out 3,200 identical job applications, found that if you got a Nigerian sounding name, you have to send 80% more job applications to get a call back. If you have an Asian sounding name, it's about 70%. Middle Eastern, then it's 90%. We know that it is geared towards white people. We know that that's a fact. The government even admitted it in its recent.
No, I mean, just because you say it's a fact, it doesn't mean it's a fact.
Oxford University.
She literally is sitting there saying her opinion as fact, and he's literally quoting studies from Oxford, and she's got nothing.
Oxford University and the government's own race report.
But she's right, apparently. It just drives me crazy. But white people want to be oppressed. I mean, this video kind of points it out, and I think it's brilliant.
This comment wasn't even on a post of mine, but I can't help.
It says, like, should white people just be treated like shit? Would it, like to kill us and spit on us and get historically even? Would that make you happy?
Responding to it, because I hear and see things like this all of the time. No one is asking for revenge, but this is what a lot of white people hear. No one is asking for revenge. People are asking for,
because they know if they had that shit done to them, that's what they would want.
Equity. People are asking for equality. People are asking for inclusion. People are asking for justice. No one is asking for revenge. But when we say equal rights, you hear, I'm going to be oppressed. When we say we don't want to die in the streets, you hear that means I'm going to die in the streets. When we say we want a better life for our children, you hear that means my children aren't going to be on top, and that means oppression for us. We're not asking for revenge, and you're lucky that we're not. It's your mindset that upholds the system.
Yep. And nerd teacher says, flipping through her papers and not looking at anyone. Of course, she can't look at anyone. Like she can't, she's got to look away to say something so just racist. But this made me think about where black people's hearts and minds are when so many black people are being murdered in the United States.
I used to be able to relate to this, but I've grown numb to it. Because George Floyd for you was Rodney King for me, Sean Bell for me, Travis Carter, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland. And I chose to go numb for this reason. For every viral story you see of a black person being murdered by the cops, there are literally dozens that you're not seeing. It's gotten harder and harder to see another black person murdered unjustly and not want to return that energy on any blue uniform I see. This country was built on a foundation of exploiting and murdering us. So just for mental health sake, I gotta go numb because it's an everyday thing. Y'all just don't hear about it every day.
And that is right on the money. Those last two posts just kind of play against each other. That is an everyday thing. And, I've often wondered as a white person why black people don't seek revenge more than they have or do. Because it's terrible. what they suffer through. Anyways, I'm gonna play oh, I want to play this one too.
I see you are a person of culture as well. I see your analogy and I raise you one. It's more like, hey, you see that house fire over there? Let's all collectively spit on it and then do literally nothing at all.
It's a good analogy.
This is not an attack, but let me get this out the way. I am black in America. That is a different experience from a person of color, right? And critical race theory in schools, no. That's a waste of time, effort, and resources. And let me tell you why, right? Number one, y'all act like white people haven't had like 300 plus years to catch up to this shit. And number two, I understand the intent, but there's an underlying impact that nobody's paying attention to. You see, that could be responsible for teaching white people how to mask their racism. And I think it's much better if they learn about racism by having their life impacted by it. White people in general are not going to learn about racism until they are ready to. And even more than that, forcing it in their hands is going to make them more resistant to it. And last but not least, you teach them in school and they still got to go back to their racist family.
Their teacher gives us some resources on racelessness, the theory of racelessness that was really thought-provoking. I'd like to watch that. The stuff that we've talked about in the last hour and a half has been kind of heavy, so we are going to slide down to Comedy Mountain. And we're going to start off by learning how to deal with trolls.
Well, hello there. I see you have several accounts. You have no content. Yeah, because you're a troll, right? But let me hit you up on some shit. I got you. I made a TikTok about comments like this earlier, but I'm going to make a special one for you. If you want that right there to impact me or any person of color, but we're like, sobbing from shit like this. Here it is. Say it with your whole chest out. Say it with your content. Say it with your face showing. Other than that, it's just do better with your insults. It's so easy.
I'm so with this. I don't give a fuck if somebody, oh, you look like Alice Cooper. Don't care. Doesn't hurt me. Yeah. So that's a perfect way to deal with a troll. Also, I thought this was pretty cool or pretty funny. Bottle of Snapple. Real fact. France used the guillotine as recent as 1977. By the way, that was for Leto, my friend. Now for something that makes no sense, but that is funny.
If you're getting the squirty wordies after eating Taco Bell, I have no respect for you. You're a weakling. I never get the squirty wordies because I have beaten my body into submission. I don't even defecate anymore. I'm like Kim Jong-un. I bleed ragu. I haven't menstruated since 2008. How else do you think Obama won? That's a genuine question. Those two things are not related.
She makes no sense, but hilarious. Hilarious. Oh, I love this one too.
Tell me you're sexually frustrated without...
Tell me you're sexually frustrated without telling me you're sexually frustrated.
telling me.
I ate a popsicle last night. I spit on it before I put it in my mouth.
No judgment. Here's another one from Sakithia. She's hilarious.
Okay, I'm just ranting, and probably nobody is going to see this shit. Yo, what's up with the TikToks that motherfuckers is making, talking about if I broke into your house? Well,
There's a bunch of people that will post these TikToks, and they'll be like, really good looking, and they'll be like, what if I broke into your house? And she nails it.
what would you do? If you came out of your bedroom and I was there, what would you do? Motherfucker, I'm calling the police. I'm calling the fucking cops. Yo, we fighting. I'm fighting for my life. I don't give a damn if your ding dong is dragging the ground or if your titties is sitting up so high that I can sit a cup on them. You broke into my shit. We going to war. Is it just me or
And then there's Comrade Faust talking about these nuts.
Are these nuts political? If we're talking about these nuts, of course they're political. We can talk about the environmental impact of harvesting these nuts. These nuts have contributed to droughts before. Then there's the issue of workers' rights, especially migrant workers. And if you're talking about genitalia, those are indeed very political, especially these days. People without these nuts are subjected to medical sexism. If I wanted my setup checked out, I could just go to my primary care provider, but someone with a vagina needs to go to a specialist because biological males are the default. Then we can get into trans issues, like gender-affirming surgery, especially bottom surgery. How is sex tied to gender? Is sex tied to gender? And if they are tied in any meaningful way? Or men with these nuts, how come they have the most power? So these nuts are political. In fact, both these nuts are political.
Oh, now he comes back from that with this.
Y'all are real comfortable with transphobia as long as you think it's for a good reason. Y'all will misgender trans people, mostly non-binary people, if they're a bad person. And then you'll say, oh, why should I respect a bad person? Forgetting that it's not just about that person, it's about every other trans person. You are directly demonstrating that people's gender identities are condemned.
okay, I'm just ranting and probably nobody.
Y'all are real comfortable with transphobia, demonstrating that you see people as their assigned gender, and that using the pronouns that are accurate to them is only a courtesy that you're extending, and that you are willing to revoke that courtesy. There are shitty non-binary people, there are shitty trans femme people, and there are shitty trans mask people. They're still trans, though, and still the gender that they say that they are. So slander all of them by all means. Call them garbage and worthless, a waste, whatever you want to say. But use their accurate pronouns, please.
Yup. Yep. That's right. This one isn't so much funny, but I thought it was funny that somebody put it out there.
Nope.
Jordan Peterson is good if you watch him outside of the trans view. His lectures on philosophy and such are very sharp. He should laugh more.
Absolutely not. No. Because why would I listen to somebody's message if they would dehumanize me if I was trans? That wouldn't feel very good. We're not doing that.
Straight up. And this is actually fucking right on the money.
Guess you wonder where I've been.
Yup. Right on the money there. This one's pretty funny too.
When a dumbass conservative like Marco Rubio has an idiotic tweet like this, there's only one video that comes to mind for me.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.
Thank you, Marco. All right. We've got one more video and then I am out of here. Yeah, nerd teacher, I don't know if I saw the vulva as teeth, but well, I don't know. Jordan Joan piece in the last one. I think the Republican should be a man, though. True. This is actually this is one of my favorite TikTokers. That's apolitical, but it's funny.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to class. And since it's October 1st, I thought we could go around and say what our favorite Halloween activities are. Halloween? Oh, what is this? We do not celebrate. Oh, okay. Well, maybe the other kids can tell you. Riley?
Okay. You go up to people's houses at night and demand candy and hope it's not booby-trapped.
Okay, that's not the best description.
But the only catch is they'll only give you candy if you dressed up real nice for them in a costume.
Costumes? Like what?
A princess, a pirate, a police officer, a horror flick psychopath, a controversial political figure. For the most part, it's just adult professions or anything that makes you seem like an adult.
Okay, I don't...
Oh, and the best part is you can throw toilet paper and eggs at people's houses once you obtain the candy.
No.
Okay, let me get this straight. So you dress up to appear older than you are in most cases, and then trespass on people's property, and then bang on their door and demand free candy, gambling on the fact that it could be laced with something or have razor blades in it, and in return, you vandalize their property with things you can find in the bathroom or the fridge. And you are trying to terrorize and take advantage of as many homes as you can this night, huh? Yeah, that about sums it up. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. This is amazing. This is new favorite holiday. Sign us up. Absolutely.
Oh dear. The funny thing is about Chris is she literally plays all her characters, and she has probably 30 of them. Yeah. She's currently playing herself, and she's playing her partner as well. It's pretty funny. It reminds me a lot of Steve Shives and the stuff that he does. It's very creative. But anyways, you should check her out. She's Chris HC, I think, on TikTok. Anyways, if you want to help the show out, you can go to teapartypodcast.com. If you want to help our comrades, there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can go to Fanbase and help out Eric, who is Black Bloc Politics, or Comrade Cuddles, or if you want to help some other comrades out, you can go to charitylinks.page and you can help out some comrades that way. Nerd Teacher and I are going to be in talks to kind of see where we're going to go with this, but I have some ideas. Because I really feel like the more that I get into a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed, the more I see kind of a pathway to liberation. Because, you get all these debate bros and they'll talk about theory. And what is their end goal? They're talking about overthrow of the government. It's like, is that really going to happen the way like surrection January 6th type of thing? It all comes down to taking care of this stuff from the bottom up, not the top down. But reading Pedagogy of the Oppressed has made me realize that the answers, it is theory, but a lot of theory, like when I'm reading Pedagogy of the Oppressed, a lot of the stuff in it makes sense to me in a way through my lived experience. And I knew this before I read the book. So, and that's kind of what the book's geared towards, is kind of not a banking model, but some nerd teacher says, I'm going to spend some time reading insurrectionary anarchists like Alfredo Bonanno alongside, because even they don't have a destroy government as an end goal. So maybe that can help counteract that. Well, here's the thing. Like, I feel like the answer is because if you look, the people, like when you have governments that America may see as not something that they would support, if you dig under it a little bit, you see why the people support those movements. It's because the people that are at the head of those movements impact their material conditions. And if we want to have a, quote, revolution, it's going to come from the bottom. It's not going to come from the top. It's going to be from fucking feeding people. It's going to be from giving homes to people. It's going to be, like I said, from the bottom up. But we'll get into that more in future shows. I look forward to having debates back and forth with Nerd Teacher. Not really even debates, just discussions about what we've read and how it impacted us, and how it how we felt about it. So anyways, I hope you all have a good night. Help a comrade out tonight, tomorrow, and I will see you next Wednesday, I believe. I will talk to you guys later. Oh, Social Justice Alchemy tomorrow. Join us. Be there. Be square. I'll be there. I hope you will too. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, Nerd Teacher, you made it through to the end of the show. Very well. Have a good night. Sleep tight.